Ooh, what is that we see, that we hear, that we experience? What up, y'all? It's Last Bro Heekin. I'm coming out of this wigwam of mine to give you another Crusader Kings 2 tutorial. Sorry about the delay. I had an incredibly long vision quest and I just recently got back to the tribe, but I wanted to create some more content, and so here we go. So in this episode, I'm going to give a brief tutorial on some tips as to how you can live alongside, eventually conquer a larger kingdom or empire than your own. Now, for those of us who have poured sweat, blood, and maybe a little bit of that secret sauce into playing Crusader Kings 2, no. You get to a point where playing on an even field is just not enough. This game truly shines when the odds are stacked against you and you have to employ tactic, guile, and maybe just a little bit of luck to really make this game give it that shine that we all know and love. And so one way that people do this is to pick a kingdom, duchy, or even just a county that is hopelessly outmatched to its neighbors, rising above and turning the tides of history, and even the game itself is truly unmatched and makes Paradox grand strategy games what they are. But in order to survive, thrive, and eventually take over your larger neighbors, it takes a level of panache. It takes an air of strategy newer players may not be familiar with. And this video is meant to convey a few ways that you can not only do this, but apply it in any game situation regardless of the size of the enemy kingdom. Because as we all know as CK2 players, it's not about the size that counts. We're all truly growers and not showers when it comes to this game. Now, as a frequent player of the High Middle Ages starting point, I love nothing more than playing Zunbil or Asturias. Zunbil being in the Middle East, around modern-day Afghanistan, and Asturias being in the northwest part of Spain. Now, both of these nations are on different sides of the map and have completely different realm mechanics, but the one thing they have in common is that they border massive Muslim empires that are essentially programmed to try to wipe them out as soon as possible. So trying to reverse the history of what actually happened, of what the game is trying to write, is also just super satisfying. And these will also be the two nations that I model my tips after. Now, before I go into some of my tips as to how to actively fight against these nations, the one way that you can always go that is the path of least resistance is to swear vassalization to these empires, secretly convert to their religion or pretend to convert to their religion, and then slowly eat them from the inside out by conquering your other fellow vassals. Now, I've done this before and it's an incredibly effective method, but in this video we're looking to keep the sovereignty of our realm and remain the kings that we all truly are. Now, for our first tip, and this is more of a defensive tip, is to form an alliance with a stronger nation, which can be done through marriage or, if you're in the east, through grace. Now, for a nation like Asturias in Spain, it's very easy to get a Catholic marriage either through Lombardy or France or even the Byzantine Empire. Zunbil, it's going to be a little bit tougher since you're the only nation with your respective religion. However, you could potentially rely on China if that is a strategy you would want to go with. Now, the second tip I can give is to immediately set your diplomat to begin sowing dissent in the county of the enemy empire's capital. What your diplomat will begin doing is talking mad shit to the vassals about their liege lord. This is in hopes that it will lower their opinion about their boss. This tip can also actually be used for good in two different ways. The first way is the said shit talking. The second way is that if you have an annoying vassal that you're worried that's going to threaten you, this can be a great mission for them to go on, mainly because sowing dissent runs a very high risk of the diplomat being captured in prison and possibly even getting killed by the enemy. And what better outcome can you ask for by pissing off your enemy and also simultaneously taking out the people that threaten you from within? The last way, and this is without a doubt the most surefire way to get real tangible results, is just to murder the shit out of the king and any idiot who is brave enough to try and be the next in line for succession. I found this method to be incredibly effective when your own ruler is quite strong with high diplomacy and intrigue, while the enemy ruler is weak through their own personal attributes or bad personal relations, which were hopefully made even worse by your diplomat. Going all hitman on the enemy's dynasty seeks to accomplish two things. One is that you can put an incredibly weak or young ruler that will cause their vassals to rise up in arms and revolt against the lord, or if you do a good enough job murdering everyone, you can potentially create a succession crisis in the enemy realm where vassals will simply just begin splintering off if there are no more legal or legitimate heirs to the throne. The benefits to this strategy are numerous and is one that should be used almost constantly when you're up against a larger kingdom. So, you've sowed dissent amongst the vassals, and now a bunch of those dickwagons have enough courage to rise against the one-year-old inbred ruler you, quote-unquote, put onto the throne. Uncertainty in the realm always breeds revolt and will put the enemy kingdom at their weakest point. And with your strong, stable, totally not a lunatic cannibal ruler, you actually have a chance to bite off a piece of your larger enemy. The question now is, do you fight against the rebels, or do you fight against the main lord himself? Both have positives and negatives attached to them. Now, unless you've done a really good job at pissing off the enemy vassals, many revolts are going to be pretty weak, and this is something that we would want to exploit. You can solely declare war on the rebel faction and try to do a quick land grab. Since the rebels are now fighting a two-front war, you stand a really good chance of peeling off a bit of their land in the ensuing war with their liege lord. The only problem with this strategy is that as soon as the war ends, for whatever reason, you're back to square one. Now, if you're getting slapped by the rebels, this might not be such a bad thing, but if you are winning the war and you have a war score of 99% and the war ends, too bad. You get nothing, which basically makes this strategy a race against time. The other choice is to declare war directly against the enemy ruler. In this one, you no longer have to worry about timing, but you now run the risk of facing a kingdom at full force should the enemy nation get their shit together and reunify. Both have their positives and negatives, and more so stands to how strong you are as a nation to fight, whether it's against the rebels or the main ruler. Well guys, that's all I have for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that I will bring out some more content soon. Sorry for the delay and everything, or the lull in action, but hopefully I can get back on my rocker here, and hopefully I can keep producing some more of that sweet, sweet content. But until next time, if you liked what you saw, give me a like, or drop a subscribe would be even cooler, but you know what to do. Alright guys, it's Last Pro Weekend. Take it easy.